So let me welcome in my guest, an absolute legend and somebody I really, really respect and look up to in this industry, Kevin Burkhardt. KB, thank you so much for joining me, man.
I don't know how to live up to that, Ben, but I'll try, my man. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
You live up to it just fine with all your hard work, and I appreciate it, and I really respect you. And KB, you were there in Iowa, Field of Dreams game. I was boots on the ground for the digital side of things, getting a bunch of content on my end. But you guys on the TV side of things absolutely killed it. You guys crushed it, most viewed game in 16 years, and you were certainly a part of that. So I want to talk to you about that entire experience. And what was your first impressions of the place when you first rolled up into Dyersville, Iowa at the Field of Dreams? What was your first impressions? Did it blow you away?
Yeah, you and I got to talk a little bit out there, which was great. And, I think for me, I was excited to go do it just because of the uniqueness of it. And obviously, I'd never been there. I'd never even been in the state of Iowa before, to be completely honest. So I was excited in the first hand. And then, driving up when we went there on Wednesday, because we did a whole bunch of stuff Wednesday, and then we broadcast a youth baseball game at the actual Field of Dreams. You're just going down, as you're going down this dirt road. There's nothing but corn, and then you make a right, and all of a sudden there's like a Major League Baseball field, and you're like, what? So I was blown away. I mean, I knew it was going to be special, but when I got there, I thought it was incredible. I really did. And walking around, the movie site and just taking it in and talking to the local people all week as I did as I got there on Monday, there's nothing I've ever really experienced quite like it. It was just so different and so unique and so, I used the word romantic when I was talking to my friends because that's what I felt like. I felt like between the movie aspect and baseball and the people in that area were so cool. That's kind of the word I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had high expectations and I was blown away. And I don't know if you had any conversations like this, but I was talking to Lucas Giolito about it when they first showed up. And he said, yeah, we were excited to come here, but we had no idea it was going to be like this. He said, it's perfect. It is perfect, and we had no idea, and we were absolutely blown away. And that's how I felt. It sounds like that's how you felt, and I'm sure plenty of other people felt that way. Did you talk to any players that felt that way too?
I think the players really bought in. That's what I really liked about it. We were walking after the intro when they walked through the corn, and I saw Craig Kimbrell for a minute, and it's just like, this is pretty cool, right? So I got that same vibe. I think like, hey, they were going, and it was relatively easy for them. They were close. Their previous games on Wednesday were close, so they each flew in on Thursday. It was an easy flight. And yeah, as a major league player, you're traveling along, like, oh man, we don't have a hotel, we're flying in and out. But I think when they got there, they're like, oh, this is pretty legit
Yeah.
type deal, yeah.
I think for me, my favorite part of being there was I FaceTimed my dad out on the field, which for me was a really cool moment. And I wish he would have been able to be there, but I FaceTimed him and showed him around, and he was like, this is incredible. And then I walked through the corn, which was awesome. What was your part of the experience?
I think, boy, that's a tough call. I mean, I could even go back to the youth game we did on Wednesday. It was just, seeing the kids' faces and broadcasting, a 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids playing on this Field of Dreams where they actually shot the movie, and the farmhouse is right behind us. You turn around and there it is. And, there was just a pureness to it, right? And then I really loved Kevin Costner, how he embraced the whole thing. I think that really made it ultra special because, he was on our pregame set for a while, and he was terrific. Really enjoyed meeting him. And then obviously how he did the whole thing and leading the players out of the corn. I just thought it was so good. And he loved it. He's such a baseball diehard, and he was really respectful and loves the movie, so he wanted to make it magical. So I thought that whole scene for, people at home and then people there, it was just so good. I mean, I saw it obviously live there, but I went back and watched it, 3 times at the beginning. I couldn't get enough.
Yeah, so did I.
I thought that's the scene,
Yeah, so did I. At any point in this whole trip, in the 2 days that you were there, did you ever get emotional at any part of anything that happened?
I think anyone did, especially when we had Kevin on the set with us and, just talking about, Alex Rodriguez said something that was really personal on our set in that interview. He's like, hey, this movie, among other things, talks about, father-son relationships. And Alex was like, my father left when I was 10. I never had that catch. And, it goes back to any of your relationships, I think, right? So, of course, you think back to that and all those times and how that just resonates with you. I think it resonates. If it's not that exact thing, if it's not, the father-son, I think there's always some relationship that resonates in that way. So I think that's the beauty of it. The thing that I really took from it, one of the things, is that during the game, pre-game, during the game, and even the next day, I got texts from people who aren't even baseball fans, honestly. And they're like, that was amazing last night. So I think it was a way for everyone to kind of embrace how cool it was. That's what I liked. And hopefully there are more baseball fans now.
Yeah, you talked about being on the set, which leads me to my favorite part of your week, which was the way you were dressed, KB. You killed it with your outfit on game day on the set. I mean, absolutely killed it. Where did that, when did you realize what you were going to be wearing on the set? Was that your idea to go old school?
No, so I mean, listen, I am nothing without our amazing team at Fox, like Vicki Trilling and her incredible wardrobe staff. Fernanda and Felicia, and there's so many down there that do. I say down there because they're down by our dressing room.
Yeah.
But it was them, and I loved it. So they laid out some options, and Felicia said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I tried it out, and I just loved it because I thought it was. It was time frame reference, very cool, but it was kind of still modern in a way. I loved it. And I just thought it was so cool that everyone did it. And it wasn't only us. It was everyone there, all the camera folks, all the behind-the-scenes folks, people working the field. I don't know. Did you like it? I thought I had a blast doing it.
That was one of my favorite parts is everybody bought in, from you guys on TV where y'all absolutely killed it to the people that were working on the field wearing the suspenders. Like, everyone in the entire experience bought in. And you mentioned it. You mentioned how Costner bought into it and how he loved the whole experience. And you got to talk to him about that on the stage. And it really did seem like, from an outsider's perspective, I mean, I know I was there and I could see it looked like he bought into it all, but you talked to him and it really did seem like he bought into this big time, right?
No, he loved it. I mean, he loved everything about it. He wanted to keep the magic of the movie alive, right? So talking to all of our production folks who dealt with him, not for us. I mean, he was great in our interview, but in terms of the whole open to the show, like he wanted it to be, like the movie. He didn't want it to be cheesy. He didn't, and I thought, I mean, he nailed it, right? I mean, of course he nailed it. He's an Academy Award winning actor, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But so I think, to me, look, you can have a situation. There's so many things that had to go right for that. The site is magical just when you walk onto it. But certainly helps that the players bought in. Certainly helps that you had a great game. But I think that sets the scene, especially for the people there. They're walking in and they're walking in and they see the farmhouse and they walk through the corn maze and get to the field. But then when they see that, you could just tell, after our pregame show, we all raced into the stands to kind of watch the beginning because I knew what was going on. And people were just like, oh, just kind of in awe of how neat it was. And I don't think there's many times, Ben, that, Hollywood crosses over with sports in terms of like that.
Yeah.
Like we were there because of Hollywood, and then it kind of turned into a Hollywood script the way the game played out.
I think you're right. I think that kind of set the scene. And like it immediately made everyone that tuned in to say, all right, I'll check out what this game is about. It ended up like they killed it with that. And everybody, Costner, the players, everybody on the TV side, all of our team on the TV side, the cameramen, they got the most incredible angles of all time of all of this happening. I just thought it was perfect, and it really did set the scene of this is going to be an event, and you're not going to want to miss it. And man, it was so cool. And for me, the one thing that set the mood for me happened the day before, when I saw you and Frank Thomas on the porch swing of the house at the other side, dressed up in your costumes. You guys absolutely killed it. You were Ray Kinsella. Frank was, who was he? What was his guy's
Terrence
name?
Mann.
He was Terrence Mann. Like, it was incredible, and we're gonna show that picture. Well, we have to at some point. But talk about that, because your outfits were on point, and Frank looked exactly like Terrence. It was incredible.
Well, it was pretty funny. Like, so we did this skit that I put it out on Twitter. It's out there. I think our MLB social team did too. PT Navarro and our production team is so amazing. They had this fun thing. They wanted to kind of recreate, not an exact scene from the movie, but we kind of did our own little pregame guys. So it was Poppy, A-Rod, Frank, and myself, and we were, A-Rod and Poppy come out of the cornfield, and Frank is Terrence said. Frank gives up and gives him, and I tell you, when I'm sitting next to Frank, I don't even know if you can see it in the shot, but the one shot that we cut, we did a bunch of these lines, and then they edited it together brilliantly. But there's one point Frank, gets up, and he's dressed, he looks like him, and he delivers this, James Earl Jones-esque baseball. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I'm ready to die laughing because it's so spot on. And I think in the one clip, I'm kind of like smirking, I'm like brushing my lips, like that deal. It was so much fun to do. We didn't. I don't know. Maybe we took an hour shooting that, but they edited it together, and it made it look incredible. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I also saw Poppy and A-Rod all dressed up in their uniforms, and Frank looked like he owned into it. What was these guys' experience like? Did everybody equally have an awesome experience? Were they blown away too?
Yeah, so Frank had been there a bunch before because he had done.
Oh, really?
I think that was the sixth time he was there. Yeah, he had been there for multiple charity events and things. And remember, Frank lives in Chicago, so it's not a far ride for him.
True.
But he loves it there, and so he kind of at least knew what it was going to feel like and what it was going to expect. But he thought it was great. He thought that the whole thing was great. But Poppy and A-Rod hadn't been there, and it was cool living it through their eyes. Poppy said, for me, it's kind of. It was like growing up for me in the Dominican. The only difference is instead of plantains, it was corn. And I thought that was such a cool line that he dropped on the pregame show because, I think it goes back to the pureness of it, right? It's really what it is. It's the sport's pureness and at its roots. And so it was neat watching it through their eyes. I think they both thought it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was really incredible. And it makes me wonder, and I've been wondering this ever since, like, this was a big production, and it wasn't put together overnight. But it makes me wonder, like, this was such a success. Everybody on every platform killed it. Is this going to happen again? I know it'll happen again at the Field of Dreams. That's already been said. In 2022, there will be another game there. But do you think we see another game somewhere else? And where would you like to see a game played?
Yeah, I do. I think baseball needed something like this. To be quite frank, there hasn't been a buzz like this over a regular season game. And obviously it's the highest rated game in 16 years. But, you go back to McGuire and Sosa. When people, were dying to see regular season games. Obviously the postseason is a star for Major League Baseball. It always has been, all-star game. But, a game in August, to have that kind of buzz, I think the sport really, really needed it. So, I love going back. I think it was such a special experience to go back. It'll be tough to top, admittedly, but I would go back in a heartbeat, and they will. As far as anywhere else goes, look, I've been fortunate to see a couple games in London. I thought that was incredible. I think you could play them, around the world, right? I think there were multiple different spots that you get to play at. I think the one thing is you forget about, the grassroots of it. The one thing that I learned being in Iowa and talking to everyone there is that they all loved the game so much. They all were so excited for the game, even if they weren't going. They were just so excited for the game to be there because they're kind of in that zone where they're Cubs fans, Twins fans, White Sox fans. They're kind of a mesh in that area. And, so for them having that close by was cool. So I think besides being worldly, I think you could take Major League Baseball to places that has never had a game, and it would be spectacular. I could name a bunch of states or a bunch of sites. But I kind of like that idea. I like the grassroots type idea. Who knows? Maybe I'm not sure what's next. I haven't given it enough thought. But, I like that as a startup idea for where to go next.
I agree. And I was talking to some people the day of the game that they were just, some Iowans that showed up. I don't even know if I assume they had a ticket to the game, but this was over on the movie site. And, time and time again, more so than anything, I just got, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. And I'm like, this wasn't my decision. I love being here, but you're welcome. And it just seemed that way. It just seemed like Iowans were generally thankful just that Major League Baseball decided to come to their state and that they could watch a Major League Baseball game in their home state. And did you get that experience from talking to people?
Yeah, I got it all week. I mean, I go and get coffee, and people unprompted would be like, "Oh my gosh, we're so excited for the game, and we can't wait to watch baseball in Iowa," and just that's all everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
And I just thought I thought the people were just so. I mean, I know that's the rep, right? We're in the Midwest, but gosh, people were so nice and so kind and so welcoming. So I mean, it was a joy. It was a joy to be there. I mean, it really was. Like I said, first time I'd ever been in the state, let alone in that area of eastern Iowa, and I can't wait to go back.
Well, this might be a tough question for you, and I know, I talked about it earlier. You're a legend of this, and, you've covered Super Bowls, you've covered World Series, you've done it all. You've done a lot, KB, and I want to know where this ranks. Where does this Field of Dreams experience rank for you and everything you've done?
That's a really hard question, Ben. I mean, I've been fortunate, right? I get to work on a lot of pretty amazing properties and go to these incredible events. So, and it's always easy to say, like, the latest event is, like, the best event, right? Because you just experienced it. I mean, I would say if I'm just going top of my head, look, I've seen some really cool things, right? I mean, I was there for Johan Santana's no-hitter with the Mets, first ever in the history of the organization. The Cubs winning the World Series in 2016 and basically living in Chicago for that month, which was out of this world. Gone to Super Bowls and done different things. I mean, if I'm picking right this second, I would say, the Cubs World Series run, because it was historical and because I don't think we'll ever see anything like that in the postseason. I think that's one and probably always going to be one. But I got to tell you, I think this might be two. I mean, it just because of how unique it was, and I know it was regular season, so I know there wasn't much on the line other than one regular season game, but it just felt so big and so unique and so different, and I loved everything about it. So, I'm sure I'm missing a lot of stuff, but it's up there, man. It's in the top three, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it felt greater. It felt bigger than just a baseball game, for sure. I have two things before I let you go. One, did you do the MLB Maze that they had set up there?
I went in the beginning, but I actually got pulled in to do something else. I didn't have enough time. So I did have a couple friends, and so I have to do it next year. But I did have a couple friends that did it, and one of them got halfway in and bailed because they couldn't find their way out. Did you do it?
Yeah, I would be one of your friends that did it, and I got lost in there for 30 minutes, KB. I'm not kidding you. It started off like, all right, this is going to be good content. I'm going to go in, and then 20 minutes later, I'm lost in there. It's 100 degrees. I'm yelling at helicopters to come save me. It was actually crazy in there, and I was a little hesitant for a second because I didn't know if I was going to get out.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, really bad. And also, I know you said your favorite part was, but I'm a little disappointed that the favorite part of your whole trip wasn't me singing karaoke. I really thought that was going to be your favorite experience, and I'm not sure why it wasn't. Thoughts?
I actually immediately purged that from my memory because it had scarred me for life.
That's fair. KB, thank you so much for joining me, man. I really, really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day. And, good luck the rest of the season and keep killing it, my man.
Good to see you, Ben. See you soon.
All right. See ya. Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.